we've got an idea of just which assistants Mike Riley's going to be bringing over to complete his staff at Nebraska, but who are going to be plugged into those last spots? Stick around, I'll tell you after this. Hi folks, welcome to another episode of 5-Step Drop. My name is Brandon Kavanaugh. Wonderful time of the year, holiday season. I was sent a fantastic question by life_of_Riley, who did a really neat job of graphic, as we're going to pull up here, basically asking who are the 4 remaining people on the assistant tree, the I guess Christmas tree or menorah or whatever you'd like to say. And I don't exactly know 100%, but I'm going to try to answer that question today. Now, for the sake of argument, Mark Banker may or may not be 100% defensive coordinator. He could be a we could mishmash all this, but again, just for the sake of argument, we're going to slot him in that defensive coordinator position and stick to the 4 people that are going to take up the remainder of those spots. So, without further ado, let's get to the quarterback coach slash offensive coordinator. Okay, so as we see on the graphic, it's greatly rumored, that current New York Giants quarterbacks coach Danny Langsdorf is the leading guy. And honestly, I'm leaning that way too. Why? Because he's had a couple brief stints in the NFL, but that's not the main reason. Main reason is because he was at Oregon State for forever and a day helping Mike Riley with his quarterbacks. So if there's going to be anybody who can help Mike Riley install his pro style and adapt it to what Nebraska has, it's going to be Langsdorf. So I wouldn't be surprised. And remember, these are guys that still have a game or 2 left. And I believe the New York Giants just have 1 more left. So my pick is Danny Langsdorf, and I want to preface any other picks with this. This is not necessarily who I think Riley should pick, just who I think would fit in the spots very well. So I'm going to go with the easy one with the first pick and say Danny Langsdorf of the New York Football Giants for the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. All right, well, wide receivers coach. This was an area I was curious about because, well, Rich Fisher didn't get retained, okay? I was really hoping that the Oregon State's coach would have come over. That would have been a great hire, but unfortunately, fortunately for Nebraska, he's sticking over at Oregon State. Hey, great, happy where he's at. Fantastic. So, who does Nebraska get? I got a great name for you. Delvon Alexander from Arizona State. Now, why Alexander? Well, he did spend some time at Oregon State, about a year, a little while back. Then he went and coached at the University of San Diego for a bit, and, well, Mike Riley, of course, did spend some time down with the Chargers down there, a few years as the head coach. He spent some time in the desert, and that's key. Why? Well, the longer it goes that we're hearing that Ron Brown probably isn't going to be retained, the less likely it's probably going to be that he's going to be retained. So, and we'll talk about that in a minute here, by the way. So I don't think Ron Brown's sticking around, which is it's unfortunate. He's been around, it's been a staple, but he's got his ministry, plenty of passion go on in there. So, as far as Alexander, he's a great recruiter. He knows the desert, and that's where Ron Brown shined in recruiting. This is a great young man. He's been coaching some great wide receivers. He knows what Oregon State's about. He knows what the West Coast is about. You stick him on the West Coast, you stick him in the desert in Arizona, you got yourself a quality hire. So that's my pick. That's who I think. That's who I would put in that position anyway. Definitely a name I would keep my ear to the ground for the wide receiver position. Defensive line. Ooh, wonder what I'm going to come up with this one, right? Well, there was, of course, talk in early December that Ed Orgeron might be interested. As a matter of fact, Ed Orgeron is very interested, his words, in coming to Nebraska. And Coach Riley, passed that information got passed along to Coach Riley, and he said, "Oh, that's nice to know." Now, ever since that happened, that was about early December. There were, no offers or anything like that, but that was early December. And it's getting close to Christmas time towards the end of December. And nobody's heard a thing. And the way that the whole hiring has gone from Mike Riley to getting these assistants to getting these new assistants, which, by the by, since they haven't been picked up, that tells me one of two things. A, they're either in a bowl game that hasn't happened, like Arizona State versus, I want to say Duke, okay? Or they're in the NFL and they haven't yet played their last game, like Langsdorf, right? See where I'm going here? All right. So, defensive line, Ed Orgeron. Right now, got nowhere to be, right? He would be a fantastic pickup, not only from I mean, think of being coached by Ed Orgeron, defensive lineman, Nebraska, and, I mean, for the recruiting ramifications would be tremendous. I mean, Nebraska has already, as you can see with the skeleton crew, done a fantastic job, but then to bring in Orgeron, the not only just a great recruiter in general, but he's got those Louisiana connections. He's got those USC connections. That you could basically just fire him out of a cannon, at whoever you want. And I think he has a decent chance of bringing him home. But just think about I mean, it's a win-win-win-win situation with Orgeron. So I can't help but think that's the way that Nebraska and Riley are leaning. I'm not going to put money on it, but I've got a good feeling, just as I do about Langsdorf. So right now we have Langsdorf, we have Alexander, we have Orgeron. Who will be around for running back? Find out right after this. Okay, so that was a relatively short break, but as far as who would take the mantle of running backs coach at the University of Nebraska, I don't know. I was having difficulty with this one before, but I think I've got two names that popped up that you definitely have to throw some money at, but I could see happening. The first one, current running backs coach for Alabama, Burton Burns. Now, for some of you older folk, this may be a familiar name. Played for Nebraska from 1971 to 1975 as a fullback. Okay, knows the culture, right? Gone down to Alabama, knows how to win a national championship or two. There's a guy I think Nebraska could lure from SEC country to, with some decent coin, and you might have to throw in the OC title, maybe a co-OC title, sure, or run game coordinator versus pass game coordinator. Alright, the second guy is kind of interesting in a conspiracy theorist sort of way, if you will. Tony Alford, running backs coaching and recruiting coordinator for Notre Dame. Interesting, right? Well, thing is, he is from Colorado Springs, Colorado. He applied for the Colorado State job, and unfortunately did not get that for him, unfortunately. And that was the 20th, I want to say, of December. It is currently the 24th as I'm recording this. The 21st, two of the running backs that he was recruiting for Notre Dame, or currently recruiting for Notre Dame, were offered by Nebraska. Now, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So, those are my picks for the remaining 4 question marks in Mike Riley's staff, whether they're the co-this or co-that, or passing or running, or who knows. In terms of GAs, I have absolutely no idea, so I'm not even going to go into that. But, please, if you have any ideas of who you think might be a part of Mike Riley's staff that I didn't name or might be more likely, comment section below, please let me know. Absolutely subscribe to the channel. I'll be hitting you guys up later, no doubt with more 5-step drop, because that's kind of what I do. But regardless, in the meantime, take care, stay safe, go Big Red, and have a happy holiday season.